Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with, well, How to Beat. Sorry it's been a while, but, well, taking a little mental break. Anyway, back at it, and hopefully doing this before I go on vacation. How to Beat Deadites in Evil Dead Rise. Basically, well, Deadite invasion, you guys know the drill. Chop them up, burn them, you know the drill. Let's see what's going on here and get the situation. Be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let's go.
If you were trapped on the top floor of a giant apartment building with a soul-swallowing demon trying to take out your whole family in the most brutal ways imaginable, what would you do? There's nowhere to run and no place to hide. And if you don't fight back, you'll all be dead by dawn. It's time to rev up the chainsaw and break out the boomstick, because I'm here to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the return of the Deadites in Evil Dead Rise. This unsuspecting family is about to be torn apart in more ways than one. It's a beautiful day at the lake, but an unseen creature stalks through the swamp, flying between
and some title cards and credits.
Until it reaches an unsuspecting girl sitting alone on the dock. Startled, she jumps back, but realizes that
it's just a drone
piloted by her cousin Jessica's half-drunken boyfriend Caleb. Annoyed with his shenanigans, she decides to go check on her cousin instead. Back at the cabin, she finds her cousin asleep on the bed. The girl tries to wake her up, but gets no response and sits down in the corner to read her book. When she looks again,
Wuthering Heights.
Her cousin sitting straight up and facing the wall. Jessica starts reciting from the book without looking at it. Her voice growing more and more demonic with every word, before collapsing to the cabin floor. Suddenly, Jessica's eyes shoot open, and she starts vomiting white bile all over herself and shaking uncontrollably. The girl tries to help, but Jessica grabs her by the throat, hoisting her into the air and ripping off her scalp by the ponytail. She decides to stumble back to the dock to show Caleb her new haircut. But before he can even process what's going on, Jessica shows up, grabbing his drone and slicing her own face with the blades before falling into the lake. Caleb dives in.
Wait, don't dive in!
But she drags him underwater and throws his severed head onto the dock, levitating
that was on you.
Water with a hideous smile. That makes 3 victims down, with 9 more to go. Hey,
yikes!
I wanted to hop in really quick here and let you know about a game I've been having a blast with. This game combines 2 of the most popular genres, match 3 puzzles and role-playing games. I'm talking about
Empires and Puzzles.
But don't be fooled.
I think I actually heard about this one.
This game is not for the faint of heart. You must match shields of the same color to attack your enemies and save the kingdom from their clutches. And with every match, your attacks become stronger and more vicious. But beware, for your enemies are not easily defeated. You must use your special attacks at the right moment or face certain death.
A lot of Egyptian gods here.
Save the kingdom is perilous and treacherous. You must travel to faraway lands such as the mystical seas of
Atlantis,
face the gods in
Valhalla,
and even enter the tombs of ancient Egypt. But fear not, for
I had a feeling that was what's going on.
You can collect over 400 heroes, each with unique powers based on
Acid, Chow Chow, Tyrone,
holy, and dark.
Rain, Grace.
Every month, new heroes are introduced to aid you in your quest. But victory comes at a cost. You must use your spoils to build up your empire, leveling up food and iron production, crafting battle items, training your troops, and summoning more heroes. And with each victory, you
so base building in match 3.
Leaderboards, ready to raid other alliances and face other players in head-to-head battles for amazing rewards. And if you think you can do it alone, think again. This game is social, and you can invite your friends to join you in your quest. Team up with them for new challenges and reap the rewards together. And with an upcoming summer event featuring 10 all-new heroes, with a summer theme, exclusive event stages, and special power-ups, the fun never stops. Beware, for once you start playing Empires and Puzzles, there's no turning back. So gather your courage, grab your phone, and download Empires and Puzzles today on the App Store and Google Play. Okay.
Yeah, back to it.
The getaway just started, and now it looks like the whole trip is already dead in the water. The worst news is, I don't think this rental even came with a refund option for sudden demonic possession. First of all, I think it's time to ask a very important question. When are we, as a society, going to learn to stay far away from any isolated cabins in the woods? Seriously, people, we've seen time and time again what happens when a group of unsuspecting delinquents decides to spend the night in one of these
Cocaine
places.
Bear?
You'd think that after the trope so far that they literally made a horror movie called The Cabin in the Woods, that we would have learned our lesson. But here we are again, serving up ourselves.
Really goes to show you, we really just love nature, which, oh boy. And also, if friend was actually doing that, or at least, okay, if I was the guy, and even if I was drunk, and she did that, I would have been like, okay, she gone crazy. I'm getting out of here and getting my girl, and getting my cousin out of there too. You know, the one that did not just jump into the water. I would have ran. Like, I'm out. Pew! Like, screw that. Anyway.
On a silver platter for the forces of darkness. This isn't the 1980s anymore. We have technology. Just stay home and fire up a game of Red Dead Redemption 2 or Farming Simulator if you're craving that taste of the great outdoors. Trust me, people work.
Yeah, there are popular places to do
indoor
outdoors.
plumbing and air conditioning for a reason. And that whimsical sense of adventure wears off quick when the Deadites start decapitating your friends. Our three
Or scalping ya.
didn't even make it to sundown, but if you're paying attention, you probably noticed a whole Necronomicon's worth of red flags before Deadite Jessica went on the attack. A sudden unexplained illness hitting as soon as she got to the cabin? Check.
Yeah,
Dozens of flies swarming the place? Check.
Nope.
Sitting bolt upright in bed, staring at the corner and telepathically reciting the creepy part from a 200-year-old book in a demonic voice? Just like Cheryl reading the cards in the first movie? Big check. Mrs. Future Convertible over here might not have picked up on what was going on, but we're 5 movies into the franchise, so I know a Deadite when I see one. You've got about 10 seconds before Jessica starts flying across the room, tearing everybody limb from limb and shouting obscenities.
Yeah, that's a cuter one.
Lobby between rounds of Call of Duty. So, needless to say,
I swear to your soul. Sorry.
We horror movie fans already know that Jessica isn't Jessica anymore. So the first thing I'd do is welcome this demon to our reality with a big fat Leon Kennedy roundhouse kick to the side of the head and send that evil she-devil somersaulting into next week. Unfortunately, we know
if only
Taekwondo isn't going to keep her down for long, and the next step in the process is
you know the drill, just gotta chop it
by burying the body parts deep underground. But this girl doesn't realize just how serious the situation is yet, so she probably won't be ready to cut up her cousin. Instead, it's time to create some space, arm up, and look at any options for escape. I'd start by backing up into the main room of the cabin and looking for any weapons that I could use to defend myself. Outside, we saw a massive stack of firewood and a canoe, which means that there's
fire
an
axe
or paddle around there somewhere, even a poker from the fireplace, a knife from the kitchen, or the humble yet always effective frying pan should do the trick, and give you some options to fight back if you need to while figuring out what to do next. Once Deadite Jessica starts doing her thing, it'll quickly become obvious that the best strategy is to get the
run
hell
for your
away
life
while you still have the chance. The good news is that there are 2 cars parked outside, and the keys are most likely right there in the cabin, since it wouldn't make sense for Caleb to take them with him to the lake. I'd grab the keys to that SUV and peel out of there as fast as I could, holding off Jessica with whatever weapons I could find if she came after me, and leaving Caleb behind as a meat shield while I made my escape. Now, if for some reason she can't find the car keys, and escape isn't an option, it shouldn't take long before she realizes that this is a kill or be killed scenario. After a few rounds of combat with Deadite Jessica, she'll start to figure out that your standard attacks can't keep one of these demons down for long, and her only hope is to restrain her former cousin and dismember the body. Luckily, the cabin that they're staying at has a dock, which means that there might be a boat around, and every boat needs some strong rope and an anchor with steel chains. Step 1 would be to incapacitate evil Jessica.
So, Friday Part 6 idea. Alright.
Restrain her with the chains and cut off her head, arms, and legs using a chainsaw, boat propeller, or even an axe or handsaw if that's all you had available. After that, all that's left to do is throw the body parts in a sack and bury them deep out in the yard, pulling the canoe up top, weighing it down with a ton of firewood, and using rope to secure it to the stakes in the ground for good measure. That should buy you plenty of time to head home and try to come up with an alibi, or change your name and move to Mexico so you won't face life in prison for what you've just done. One day before the madness at the lake, a young woman named Beth arrives at her sister Ellie's run-down LA apartment. While catching up with Ellie and her 3 kids, Danny, Bridget, and Cassie, she asks about their father, and Ellie tells the kids to take the car and go get some pizza. While they're gone, she explains
can you even drive?
that her husband left them months ago. The kids
Oof.
pull back into the underground parking garage and use a buzzer to open the gate. Suddenly, the whole building starts to shake, and they realize that they're being hit with an earthquake. They take cover until the quake passes, but before they head back upstairs, Danny notices a hole in the floor. He peeks in using the light on his phone, revealing an old bank vault hidden on the floor below, and decides to climb down into the hole to get a closer look. Searching around in the darkness, Danny finds an old metal box containing a mysterious picture of 3 priests and 3 vinyl records that are over 100 years old. He walks further into the room and comes to a giant stone sarcophagus.
That looks like it's already busted
by a
open.
Cross and holy medallions with an evil-looking book hidden inside. He puts the book and the records in his backpack.
Okay, why?
Was his worst mistake. He has no idea of the
No kidding.
he's about to unleash. Upstairs.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, like, let's be real. If you saw that many crosses, like, over, like, a book, I would be like, okay, not dealing with this bullshit. Just climbed it right back out of that hole. And told him, yeah, nothing down there. Just, boring lectures. Bye. Get my kids back upstairs with that pizza, without those vinyls or that book. Ay, ay, ay. When will they learn?
Beth and Ellie try to call their kids on their cell phone, but the network is down, and 2 of the neighbors, Gabriel and Mr. Fonda, come to see what's going on. Gabriel offers to help, but the kids finally come up the elevator, and Ellie rushes to give
Also,
them.
shouldn't they go up the
Back in
stairs?
their room, Danny shows Bridget the creepy book he found. He thinks that it might be worth some money to help their mom, but Bridget wisely points out that it must have been locked away for a reason. Not convinced,
Yeah,
Danny tries to pry it open, but
Danny,
the key
don't-
holding it shut cut his finger. As he pulls
Dude.
away, blood from the cut soaks into its cover, and the teeth slowly open on their own. Danny opens the book.
Daddy, what are you doing, you idiot?
In
Stop!
some strange, forgotten language, with drawings of horrible demons and brutal murders covering every page. Bridget tells him to close it, but Danny can't look away. She slams it shut and orders him
Stop.
to put it back where he found it first thing in the morning. He agrees.
No, do it now.
As his sister leaves, he starts flipping through the pages again.
God damn it,
He
idiot.
takes the first record, sets it on his turntable, and starts to listen. It begins with a prayer before a priest announces to his audience that he's uncovered an ancient artifact, one of the 3 volumes of the Naturum de Monto, the Book of the Dead. He says that he wants the church's approval to translate the demonic text, but the crowd of onlookers shouts at him to destroy it, and the recording ends. His
Thank you.
curiosity getting the better of him, Danny takes the second record and loads it up.
God.
The priest explains that, after being rejected by the church, he and 2 other men began working in secret to translate the book, and found that the pages contained ancient rituals that allowed the reader to summon supernatural forces from beyond our world. He starts to recite one of the incantations.
Stop!
and
Turn it off!
He panics, realizing that he can't stop the recording from playing. He tries to take the needle off the record, but it shocks him, and the pages of the book start to
Oh,
fly.
you're a moron.
As the priest finishes the spell, the power in the apartment goes out, and the recording finally stops. While all of this is going on, Ellie takes the elevator down to the garage, but when the door opens, a demonic force rushes in and pins her up against the wall.
Ooh.
The elevator hurtles back up to the top floor, crashing into the ceiling and knocking her unconscious.
Ooh.
Ellie wakes up on the elevator floor and tries to call for help, but the doors are stuck and nobody can hear her. Suddenly, the evil force starts to harass her, shoving her around and tearing out one of her
Youch.
earrings. Everything goes quiet until she hears demonic growling behind her, and an electrical wire whips her across the face.
Ooh.
It slithers down from the ceiling and wraps around her neck, lifting her off of her feet and strangling her. She tries to plant her foot on the wall to support herself and reaches some of the exposed wires, but they wrap around her wrists and ankles, slicing her skin, breaking her arm, and contorting her body, leaving her dangling there as lightning strikes outside. That makes 4
Yep,
victims
mom's down.
8 more to go. Okay, this right here is exactly why I take the stairs. His mom is dead, and now the rest of the family is next on the menu, all because Danny couldn't help himself from meddling with ancient evils beyond his comprehension. I think you already know what I'm about to say. Danny, you have
Burn the-
seriously
Fucked up.
First of all, When are we, as a society, going to learn to stop reading from deliberately buried books, written in blood and bound in human flesh? Danny, come on!
You fool!
Didn't your dad ever teach you not to read from the Necronomicon before he went to the store for some milk and never came home? Let's rewind back to where it all went wrong, in the parking garage after the earthquake. All you had to do was go inside with the pizza, Danny. But you see a hole in the floor and think to yourself, you know what? I need to go down there. Forget the fact that an aftershock could have come along and buried you, which probably would have been the better outcome for everyone involved compared to what you're about to do to them. But exactly what did you think you were going to find down there? Broken sewer lines? A gas leak? Exposed high voltage electrical wires? Yeah, have fun with that. But it's worse. So much worse. Of all the useless old crap you could have found down there, you had to open the one box containing the recordings of a guy summoning demons. I saw you look over your shoulder when you heard that demonic whisper after putting them in your backpack. But sure, let's just act like nothing happened. I know. Why don't we take a peek into the next room? Ah, yes, the Chamber of Eternal Torment. Surely there's nothing down here worth worrying about. That little coin you found? That's a St. Benedict medal. It's just used for normal stuff like warding off demons. Nothing to see there.
Not good.
And then we get to the book. Okay, covered in roaches, human flesh, Venus flytrap teeth. Looks good to me. Let's throw it all in the bag and head upstairs for a family read-along. What's that? You played the tape and everything went horribly wrong. I guess you'll have to face the scariest thing of all, the consequences of your actions. You should have listened to your sister, Danny, and just put the thing back where you found it. But you went and got your blood on it and started the dark ritual. I get it. The picture.
Way to go, moron.
But you can't look at that kind of stuff for too long, man. It's gonna mess you up. As soon as the guy on the record started speaking Latin, you needed to snap those and throw those pieces down the garbage disposal. When it got to the point that the demons had possessed your stop button, how about just unplugging the damn record player from the wall? You didn't think of that, did you? Now, your mom just died a horrible death by elevator, and that's not even the worst part. Not by a long shot. Some terrible things are about to happen, Danny, and they're all your fault. When you ignore all the red flags like a blind bull on his day off and accidentally unleash an ancient evil upon your unsuspecting family, I think it's safe to say you f***ed up. Back at the apartment.
Yeah, let's be real. Come on, man. You can't do that. You know you're dead. Like, seriously. No thought of like, yeah, not good. Like, seriously. Creepy book. No. Anyway, sorry. Here comes the rest of the evil.
Beth and the kids realize that Ellie is gone. Danny tries to get the lights back on while Bridget lights some candles, when suddenly their mother appears in the doorway looking like she just lost a fight with an elevator. Bridget calls out to her, but she turns and staggers into the kitchen without saying a word. She goes to the stove, fires up the burner, and starts slamming eggs into the pan like she's filming a how-to basic video. Beth goes to see what's up, and Ellie reassuringly tells her that everything is all right. She just wants to slice them open and climb inside of their bodies. The kids get a bit freaked out, and Ellie starts to laugh, but not in a good way. She turns towards them, shaking uncontrollably, and spits up an absolutely massive amount of white vomit before falling to the ground, seemingly dead. Beth and Danny drag her to the elevator, but decide not to get on since it doesn't look up to safety codes. They try the stairs, but realize they were destroyed in the earthquake and are forced to double back to the apartment to come up with another plan. The family lays Ellie down in bed.
Don't you guys have a fire escape?
It's a Catholic prayer for the dead over her body. He remembers an old fire escape on the north side of the building that they could use to get out. But Mr. Fonda points out that he'll have to go through an unoccupied apartment to get there. The men get to work trying to open the apartment door, and Mr. Fonda suggests blasting it open with his shotgun. But Gabriel says that everyone is already freaked out enough without them shooting off guns. Beth sits down next to her sister while suddenly Ellie's voice starts to come through her phone, saying that she's burning in hell. She turns around and Ellie sits bolt upright in the bed. The kids rush in and
back up.
Tells them that their mom is burning up, so they take her and dump her in the bathtub to cool off. Ellie's eyes roll into the back of her head as she starts to flail around like a maniac before leaping out of the bath and onto the ceiling. She lets out a demonic scream that boils the water and shatters the bathroom mirror until finally collapsing back into the tub. But it's not over yet. She reaches out of the tub, slowly pulling herself out of the water together and giving them the classic Deadite smile. Beth and Danny retreat into the living room, and she follows them holding a giant shard of broken glass. She slowly shuffles towards them before lunging at Beth and stabbing her straight through the hand.
Ooh.
Bridget yells at her to stop, giving Beth a chance to crawl away, but the demon turns on her and tackles her to the floor. She picks up a tattoo gun, stabbing herself through the side of the head before holding it up to Bridget's eye. The girl pulls away at the last second, and Ellie slices open her cheek instead, leaning forward and licking the wound with her freakish tongue before she can do any more damage. Danny knocks her into the next room with a chair, and they pull Bridget to her feet. Ellie sticks her hand out from the shadows, choosing who she'll attack in a game of eeny, meeny, miny, mo, pointing at Cassie last. Just then, Gabriel walks in and she leaps onto him, tackling him into the hallway and chomping out one of his eyes. Some neighbor kids come to check out the commotion, and she spits the eyeball straight into the older brother's mouth, choking him to death. That makes
that's a
down, with 7 more to go.
That's gotta be unlucky.
The apartment door as Ellie starts to pound on it over and over again with her head. She grabs a chain and padlock that happened to be sitting nearby, chaining the door shut as the kids push a cabinet in front of it. The knocking stops, and Beth looks through the peephole to see what's going on. Outside, she sees Ellie chase the other neighbor kid down the hallway, slicing his stomach open and flinging him against the wall. Gabriel jumps up, begging Beth to let him in, but Ellie grabs him from behind and rips out his throat. Mr. Fonda blasts her with his shotgun, knocking her off of her feet, but she grabs him by the ankles and drags him away, killing him before returning to stare at them through the glass. Now everyone in the apartment is dead besides the family, but the nightmare is only just getting started.
We ain't done yet.
And that already makes 8
victims down, 4 to go.
Okay,
Jesus,
Ellie
the
here
Stevens
just gave having mommy issues a whole new meaning. We've got a full-blown Deadite rampage on our hands. But while this might be a terrifying nightmare for our unsuspecting family, for us Evil Dead fans, this is just another day at the office. And we know exactly what to do. The elevator is destroyed. So are the stairs. They're way too high up to escape out of the window. And Deadite Ellie is sitting right outside the front door. With nowhere to run, that means it's time to fight. Now, the most important thing that they should do at this moment is play the rest of the tapes to find out what they're up against and how to defeat it. We already know what the answer is going to be. Complete dismemberment and the destruction of the body. Once they realize that their only option is to kick some Deadite ass, they're going to need a weapon. And what could be better than a good old 12-gauge double-barreled Remington? The only
slight problem, it's outside with the Deadite.
With Mr. Fonda's dead body, and Ellie is guarding the door. So here's what I'm going to do. It seems like the kids are the highest on Ellie's list of targets, which works for me because I'm going to use one of them as a distraction. And since Danny was the one who started this whole mess in the first place, he's going to fill in the role. After giving things a moment
to
Danny.
Down, next time don't read the book.
Door and have him tell his mom that he was going to open it. Then I'd move the cabinet over just a little bit so that it would make it hard for her to get the door completely open, and position myself off to the side, ready to bash her with a heavy object like a baseball bat or frying pan as soon as she stuck her head through. Hopefully I could cause enough damage to stun her and slip into the hallway where I could get my hands on the boomstick. I'll have to reload before I can put it to any good use, but hopefully Mr. Fonda
fired twice too.
Some spare shells. Then I'd just blast Ellie's head open like a piñata at a little kid's birthday party. And once she was out of the picture, make my way down the hall double tapping the rest of the bodies so they couldn't get back up to attack me later. With the Deadites sent back to hell, all we'd have to do is figure out a way to get out of this building and we'd be home free. Bridget points out that their mom looks like a picture from a book, shouting at her brother and saying that this is all his fault. Beth breaks up the fight, and Danny tells her that there's something she needs to see. They go to his room, and he shows her the book and vinyl records, explaining that he heard a creepy priest reciting a dark prayer before all of this chaos started to happen. Cassie hears her mom singing in the hallway and goes to check it out. She
Cassie,
no! Cabinet and looks through the peephole, and Ellie says that she and her father got back together, asking Cassie to let them in. She unlocks the deadbolt.
Cassie, don't!
Reaches through and grabs her by the neck, but Danny and Beth come running and wrestle her away just in time, slamming the door shut and locking it again. Meanwhile, Bridget goes to the kitchen with a first aid kit, turning on the stove as the wound spreads across her face. A demonic voice calls her name, and suddenly, black blood starts to pour out of her nose, ears, and eyes. She tries to drink a glass of water, but immediately vomits a massive amount of maggots and black slime. Beth hears scary noises coming from the kitchen and goes to check it out, only to find Bridget crouched on the counter.
Yep, she got possessed.
Nothing. She approaches her slowly, and Bridget turns around, revealing that she's been chomping down on a wine glass to kill the bugs in her stomach. She chuckles and takes another bite, spitting blood in Beth's face and causing her to stumble to the ground. Beth kicks her across the kitchen and tries to crawl away, but Bridget grabs her by the ankle and slices into her leg with a huge cheese grater. Beth bashes the girl in the face with a metal pot and manages to stun her, but only for a moment. Danny comes to help, but Bridget jumps up from the floor and chases him into her bedroom. She decides to go after Cassie, but the girl stabs her straight through the mouth with a wooden spike. Bridget slowly pulls the spike out of her face, dropping it to the ground before rolling over, temporarily out of commission. That makes 9 victims down.
Yep,
with
3 left
to go. Okay, it looks like either the infection can be spread from a Deadite to a healthy person through open wounds, or an irresistible urge to commit psychotic acts of violence runs in this family.
Probably the former.
Staring at the wall, she should have connected the dots based on Ellie's behavior and known exactly what was about to happen. With Deadites, we know that everything is a trick, and you always want to be the first one to go on the offensive, so here's what I would have done. Instead of slowly approaching Bridget and letting her know I was coming, I'd have grabbed the heavy metal pot laying right there at the entrance to the kitchen and rushed at her, bashing her on the head until I was good and sure that she was out of the fight for at least a little while. Since Danny is the only other capable fighter left standing, he's going to have to help me restrain her with anything that we can find, and then chop her limbs off with a meat cleaver from the kitchen, so she can't get back up to come after us once again. After that, I'm throwing body parts as far as I can out of the window. That way I know at least this threat is no longer on the board. Even if we can't find something to chop her up, just flinging her to the streets below while she's still in one piece should do the trick. As long as she's out of the apartment, she's no longer a problem for now. And then I could focus on dealing with Ellie and figuring out a way to escape. Also,
yeah, I probably would have chopped her to pieces too. Yeesh. Yeah, it looks like that lick possessed her. Crap. And also, oh boy. I'm just saying, like, if you could take a spike through the head and still fight, yeah, I don't care. You're getting burned to ashes. Just saying, not good. Ay, ay, ay.
So now that Danny has shown Beth the book, why not try to just destroy the thing and see what happens? They still need to listen to the last recording for information on what they're battling, but the book is obviously directly related to their family members suddenly turning into Deadites, and it doesn't look like there's much useful info in there other than a bunch of scary drawings. I'd take the book back to the kitchen, turn on all of the burners on the stove, and let that thing roast like marshmallows on a campfire just to see what happens. Best case scenario, with their source of power destroyed, all of the Deadites might just collapse and die, or at least be prevented from becoming more powerful or summoning anything worse. Danny ties his possessed sister to her bed.
Oh, now they tie him up.
Over her. And Beth says that she wants to listen to the recordings to see if there's any information on there that can help. Even though the power's out, she uses her skills from her job as a guitar technician and manages to get the record player going. They pull out the 3rd record, and Beth gives Danny a huge knife to protect himself in case anything goes wrong.
I'd probably keep that knife for myself.
Room and starting it up. The priest explains that the book cannot be destroyed, and reading from it unleashed a demonic entity beyond his abilities to fight or understand. They tried a traditional exorcism, but it didn't work, and the demon quickly possessed each of his friends, spreading from person to person with no clear goal, until everyone he knew was under its control. Desperate to end things, he locked his friends in a woodshed and set it on fire, but the creatures only danced in flames. He buried them all under consecrated earth, but they clawed their way back to the surface, even angrier than before. With no other options, the priest turned to his last idea, completely dismembering their bodies. But even this failed entirely to destroy them, leading him to the conclusion that the only way to escape them is to run. Meanwhile, Bridget floats into the living room and flies straight at Cassie. Danny pushes her out of the way, grabbing his sister and stabbing her in the stomach, while Cassie takes cover under the couch. He backs away, and Bridget lunges at him, tackling him onto the kitchen counter before pulling the knife from her chest and stabbing him straight through the bicep. She vomits blood all over his face, stabbing him again in the chest. But at the last second, he grabs an aerosol can and sprays it at the stovetop, engulfing her in flames. And she flails around the room and drops to the floor. As the recording ends, Beth notices Ellie's reflection in the window, the demon having snuck into the apartment through the vents. She backs away, and Ellie puts her finger on the record, opening her mouth as the recording plays through her. Beth stabs her through the neck with a screwdriver, but Ellie stands there unfazed and throws her through the door out into the living room, where Danny collapses to the floor in front of her and dies. That makes 10 victims down.
Yep, 2 left.
2 more to go. Suddenly, Ellie comes in and grabs her from behind, telling Beth that she's going to swallow their souls. She pulls Beth to the floor and smells her, realizing that she's pregnant and digging her nails into her stomach. Beth begs her to stop, but just then, Cassie slides her a pair of scissors and stabs Ellie right up her nose, stunning her once again. Okay, with Danny joining the Army of Darkness, the numbers are even less in their favor, and they're running out of time. Like the recording said, their only real option now is to run for their lives before it's too late. You won't get far with the Deadites chasing you, but so far 2 things seem to work to stun them, lighting them on fire and severe head trauma. With this in mind, I'd grab the aerosol can from the kitchen and a lighter. That way, I'd have a
should have done that earlier
with me wherever I went. Also, I'd break 2 legs off of one of the kitchen chairs, wrap the ends in spare cloth and set them on fire, creating some makeshift torches that Cassie and I could use to keep the Deadites at bay while we made our escape. Now there's no way that I'm not taking my chances with the possessed elevator, and it'll probably take too long to get into the unoccupied apartment to use the fire escape. So I'm looking at the stairs as my best point of exit.
But wasn't that taken out?
Destroyed from the earthquake, there must still be parts of them left intact just a few floors below. I'd quickly grab some sheets from all 4 beds and have Cassie help me tie them together into one big line. Then I'd make a break for the stairs, securing one end of the makeshift rope to something stable at the top, and tying the other end around my waist before grabbing the kid and rappelling down as far as I could. I'd also be sure to grab Mr. Fonda's shotgun on our way out. That way, if any possessed neighbors tried to come after me, I could ward them off with a healthy dose of buckshot. The ultimate goal would be to make it to the lobby and just walk right out of the front door, or get to the car and drive out of there if that wasn't an option. The gate for the garage might not work if the power is out, but slamming into it with the car should do the trick. Worst case scenario, you could even just try getting low enough that escaping out of a window would be a legitimate option. Even if you couldn't get all the way to the first floor, jumping from 2 or 3 stories up would still be a better choice than waiting around for the Deadites to pick.
Yeah, I probably won't stick around.
To jump, aiming for something that can help you break your fall, just make sure that you tuck and roll on the landing. And if you're lucky enough, you might just make it out of there alive. Beth grabs Cassie and runs out of the room, promising to get her to safety. They go down the corpse-lined hallway to the unoccupied apartment, and Beth tries to break through to get into the fire escape on the other side. She hammers at the lock and tries to kick it in, but when nothing works, she decides to go for Mr. Fonda's shotgun, grabbing the weapon and some extra shells. Meanwhile, Ellie wakes up and pulls the scissors out of her nose. Beth loads the shotgun and gets ready to shoot down the door, but suddenly, Ellie comes flying down the hallway towards her, and she blows off one of her legs. Ellie starts trying to get to Cassie, but she says that she knows she's not her mom anymore.
There you go.
Raises the shotgun to deliver the killing shot, but Mr. Fonda wakes up and grabs her leg, causing her to stumble and only blow off one of Ellie's hands. Furious, she bashes Mr. Fonda's head in with the butt of the gun. Danny and Bridget come out and start crying over their mother's body, but it quickly turns to demonic laughter, and all of the bodies in the hallway come to life, chanting that Beth and the girl will be dead by dawn. They run to the elevator, and Cassie grabs their car keys, allowing the automatic doors to shut. The lights come on, and blood starts pouring out of the buttons, floors, and walls, flooding the elevator with the red liquid. Beth reaches for the escape hatch in the ceiling, but a bunch of demonic arms grab them through the hole. At the last moment, the elevator reaches its weight limit and plummets down to the bottom floor. The doors open, and Beth and Cassie are washed out in a river of blood. Beth wakes up, gasping for air, and rushes to check on her niece. The girl opens her eyes, and they run for the car in the parking garage. They get in the car and start to peel out of there, using the beeper to open the automatic gate. But before they can get far, they end up stuck in a sinkhole created by the earthquake earlier that night. Beth looks in the mirror and sees a deadite spider creature made of the 3 dead family members lurching towards them. It gets to the car, but the seats are empty, with Beth and Cassie hiding on the other side. She looks around to see if the coast is clear, and motions for Cassie to be quiet as they start to sneak towards the exit, but the creature cuts them off, and they're forced to circle back to the rear of the car. Peeking around the corner again, Beth can see the creature crawling towards them, so they quickly hide on the other side and move for the exit when they see an opening, ducking behind cover as they go. They're almost home free, but the automatic gate starts to close. The girls run for it, with the creature gaining on them with every step. Beth rolls under the gate just in time, but the creature grabs Cassie by her ankle and drags her back in. Okay,
yeah, she's done.
Come on, Beth. You were so damn close. This is no time to be blowing it at the last minute. I gotta say, just when I thought the Deadites couldn't get any worse, here they go, morphing into a multi-headed spider creature straight out of my worst nightmare. Now, it's important to point out that all night, the demons seem to be going after Cassie as their #1 priority. This means that if you really wanted to get away and didn't care about saving the kid, you could just kick her down and make a run for it while the Deadites finally got what they wanted, but even that's a bit unheroic, even for me. There's no reason we can't use her as bait though, so here's what I'm thinking. She'd have to act quickly, but while the creature was searching for them, Beth could have told the kid to hide in the trunk, and then snuck around to the side of the car with the gas tank. Then I'd rip off a piece of my shirt and stick it in the tank. When the monster realizes that the kid was in the trunk, it would most likely crawl into the car to get her, and that's when I'd pop open the trunk to let her out before setting off a blast from the shotgun that would hopefully set the rag on fire and engulf the whole car in flames, with the demon trapped inside. It's definitely a long shot, but when you're facing off against the Deadites, it's time to get creative. If they were set on running instead of fighting, the smart thing to do would have been to shoot the electronics on the side of the garage gate to stop it from shutting. That way, they wouldn't have had to roll under and leave themselves open to get grabbed. That should only take one of the 2 shells in the gun, so as we were running, I'd turn around and blast the demon with the other one, aiming for one of its legs instead of its head to hopefully slow it down just long enough for us to escape. The creature throws Cassie into the back of a wood chipper truck and starts to crawl towards her, grabbing a chainsaw and holding it up to her neck. Beth manages to get back in through a maintenance door, running to the truck and firing a blast from the shotgun into the creature at the last possible moment. The creature turns around and flings the chainsaw at Beth, causing her to stumble and fire another blast from the shotgun as she falls. It crawls towards her as she reaches for the chainsaw, grabbing her by the ankle and dragging her away before she can get her hands on it. With Beth in its clutches, the creature reaches down and fires up the wood chipper, pulling her in for the kill. But at the last second, Cassie grabs the switch and shuts off the machine. The creature drops Beth and she picks up the chainsaw, yelling at Cassie to start the wood chipper again as she lunges forward and buries it right into the creature's body. She pushes the monster back and it slips into the machine, shredding it to a pulp and spraying blood all over the garage. Ellie holds on and begs Beth to help her, but she drives the chainsaw straight into her head, scrambling for what's left of her demon brains as the rest of her is sucked into the wood chipper. Ellie's head is all that's left, and it taunts Beth with its last words, but she punts the head into the machine, destroying the creature once and for all. Beth gives Cassie a boost, and they walk out of the garage with chainsaw in hand, living to fight another day. That makes 10 victims down with 2 survivors, but the nightmare is far from over. The next morning, the girl from the cabin at the beginning heads to the parking garage and gets in her car. Just as she's about to drive out, she notices the brutal scene by the wood chipper and goes to investigate. Seeing the blood and gore, she starts to freak out, but that's the least of her worries, because the demonic
she just got possessed
out of the shadows and takes her, ready to continue its reign of terror. But what would you do?
Whoops. Really goes to show ya. Well, I guess he won't stop Deadite, just chopping it to little tiny bits with the wood chipper. Well, at least we now know effective weapon, the wood chipper. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Till next time, like, subscribe for more. I'll see you for the next one. Laters.